Hey everyone, Miko here with Behavior Analyst Supervisor. Thank you for joining us for our free Wednesday Zoom calls. Here you're watching on YouTube, but you could also join us on Wednesday. If you're interested in the link to these calls to join live, feel free to send us an email at info@behavioranalystsupervisor.com. You can also just check out our Instagram. We post questions every single day on Instagram. We also post the link to our free Zoom calls. Every Wednesday, we go through a different task list item area, such as A1. We'll talk a little bit about that task list item, and then we'll go through 3 mock exam questions relating to that task list area. We hope that this provides an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about the task list and also dive deep into question dissection. We here at Behavior Analyst Supervisor really focus on providing explanations on why an answer is correct and why it's also incorrect. So we appreciate that you joined us. If you have any questions throughout the duration of this video, feel free to shoot us an email, hit that like and subscribe button for more information. Also, you can always leave a comment and we'll be sure to reach back out to you. Thanks again, and I'm Miko with Behavior Analyst Supervisor. You'll also be hearing from Amy and Kevin. Talk to you soon.
Hey everybody, if you don't know me, I'm Kevin, and we have the beautiful Miko over there and the brilliant Amy over here, all my co-hosts. And this is Free Zoom Wednesday. So welcome to Hump Day. And we're getting over it, hopefully. So I don't know, we're playing with this. This is the second one of these that we're gonna do, but I'm really excited to just kind of see where this goes. We're grabbing one idea from the task list, go over a few ideas, a few questions. And today we're actually gonna start a little lottery. So everybody who's here, and there's not too many people here, got a pretty good chance we're going to give away a mini mock, a new one. So
never before seen.
That's right, never before seen. They're all fresh, and we're going to try to do that every week now, and encourage you all to come and see what we've got. So it's just one more way to get this info, right? All right. So without further ado, you guys have anything? Can't think of anything. Okay, let's just keep going, because we're only going to do like a half an hour here. So I'm focused on this one, and send us topics if you want to like cover other topics in the future. We'll do that. But I'm going to go over G-14. I love these. These are so fun. DRA, FCT, DRO, DRL, NCR. And what we're doing is weakening target behavior. Yes, we're reinforcing the new behavior and strengthening that, but we're weakening that initial behavior, whatever it happens to be. So let's get into it. Here's the fun part for me, I think, is I want to hear from you. So instead of going right into the questions that I wrote, I want to do some improv. So unmute yourself if you can, if you want to, and give me a behavior, because we're going to talk about how we can use all of these things with an actual behavior. Something you've been working on, something interesting, bring it. And if you don't bring it, then we'll make something up, but I'd love it.
Somebody says SIB, so I think you've got to start.
Okay. What kind of SIB? What are we doing? What's the
Let's
person
do
doing?
eye poking.
Eye poking. Ouch. Okay. So if somebody's poking their eye, self-injurious behavior, then what can we do if we've got a DRA? So to weaken that behavior, we want to strengthen another one, right? We want to make that schedule of reinforcement more dense for the alternative behavior. What can we do instead of eye poking? And I'm glad we come up with something, the actual behavior, because we want something maybe similar in topography. Like, what could we do? Could we have somebody maybe touch close to their eye? Could we, you guys can help me too. What else could we do that would give some sensation to their eyes? Maybe they could, close their eyes. Maybe they could wear some goggles or something. Obviously that would block the response to begin with. But I'm trying to think of something that we could encourage them to do instead of. And of course, we'd want them to do it more densely, more frequently than the behavior already is happening.
Well, in the chat, Kevin, we have mask, we have goggles, some alternatives.
Great. Okay, and those again might be things that you could have someone do, not just to block the behavior, but they would give you some sensation. And that's what we're looking for, is a behavior that you can do instead of. So it's going to lead into the rest of these, right? The DR, eye is something incompatible, so you can't eye poke and do this other behavior that also gives you sensory input, that automatic reinforcement. And since we don't have a lot of time, let me just talk about some of these others, like FCT. This behavior isn't really conducive to FCT. I don't see that really easily. And if you don't, well, okay, then we wouldn't use that, right, for eye poking behavior. But if it's a communicative behavior, if the function of eye poking is to get your attention, now we can say, okay, well, knowing that, how can we encourage a different behavior in order to get attention? So we can work on that. DRO is a really good one for sensory behavior. So this is going to be probably my favorite just at the list. DRO is just don't do that. You can do anything else. That's the other, right? You could do anything. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I don't care in this case. Like, just don't poke your eye for 5 minutes. You don't poke your eye for 5 minutes, I will give you attention, or I'll give you the iPad, or I'll give you some input. And that's the main thing. So don't do it is what you're looking for with DRO. So when you're thinking of examples, that's what you want to go with. It's like, how do I get this person to just stop doing that for a time period, and then I'll offer the reinforcement. Obviously, work on the function of the behavior. The DRL, like, okay, eye poking, and I wanted to, do I want to encourage it? Well, you're kind of saying yes if you're using DRL. You're saying, I don't mind if you poke your eye every once in a while, and I'm going to reinforce that. I'm going to allow for that reinforcement to occur. So probably wouldn't use DRL for this behavior. But if you did, you would separate the reinforcement by time period. There'd be some sort of like 2 eye pokes a minute or less. Then you get a star or a token, or you get my attention, or like I said, the iPad, whatever that reinforcer is. So again, you can kind of see how some behaviors, like this behavior, you go, well, probably a DRO, or maybe a DRA or I, but probably not FCT unless it is communicative. Probably not a DRL because we don't want it to continue. We want it to just cease. And then finally, NCR, which is something you can do along with the other things, right? You can do contingent reinforcement, but non-contingent reinforcement, you just give them just a time-based schedule. So when you see that time-based schedule, just offering it regardless of what the person does or doesn't do, then that's NCR. So if it's sensory here, then you would be trying to offer some other sensory input every once in a while, regardless of what this person, how often they're poking their eye, right? That's the NCR. Okay, so those are some fun things, but do play with those. Meaning, when we go to these questions, I want you to be able to picture, how would that one work? Would that one work? If I did it, what's my result? Okay. All right, any questions? I can't see the chat, sorry, but
I think you're good to move on.
sweet. Let's do it. So we did the behavior, and now gotta move your face, Miko, sorry. Jerry wants to weaken his habitual pattern of eating a pint of ice cream before bed. He enlists a behavior analyst who says they'll do something called NCR. So what's the best example? A, have Jerry eat a teaspoon of ice cream every 10 minutes between 5 p.m. and bedtime. B, have Jerry eat a teaspoon of ice cream after abstaining for 30 minutes between 5 p.m. and bedtime. C, have Jerry wait at least 15 minutes, but not more than 20 minutes before requesting ice cream between 5 p.m. and bedtime. Or D, have Jerry ask himself if he's really hungry before eating each teaspoon of ice cream between 5 and bedtime. Give me a minute to think about it. Yeah, with the question mark, I like that. Is it D? I don't know. Is it B? All right, ready enough?
I think
Y'all can feel free to throw your answers in the chat. You can either message them to everyone or you can direct message them to us, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. Right now, it looks like A is the fan favorite.
Okay, all right. Well, you guys are on it then. Because that is the answer. I always hate putting A as the answer because then it's the first one we talk about, right? But there it is. Yeah, because again, if you're looking at NCR, it's just time-based. I'm just going to offer it to you every or about every, if we're talking about an average time schedule, a variable time schedule. But here it's a fixed time, 10-minute schedule. Every 10 minutes between these hours, there it is. You just have a teaspoon of ice cream. I don't think that's a very good intervention in this case. So just if you're answering the question, you're right, it's A. But also, like, what would that do? Probably a teaspoon of ice cream every 10 minutes equals a pint. So I'm not sure that this is really, furthering Jerry's goal, but it does answer the question. So anyway, B, have Jerry eat a teaspoon of ice cream after abstaining. So what does that sound like? Hopefully you're like, okay, that is DRO. I don't do it. I don't care what I do, except I don't want you to eat ice cream for 30 minutes. So if you don't eat ice cream for 30 minutes, then you can have a teaspoon. That's basically what that's saying. At least I interpret that to be DRO or a DRO procedure. And then C isn't really one of the ones that we talked about it's close. But anyway, have Jerry wait at least 15 minutes. That sounds like it's slowing his behavior down and allowing reinforcement based on an interval, right? But it's not more than 20 minutes. So it's really a fixed interval with a limited hold of 5 minutes. So after that 15 minutes is up, you gotta request ice cream within the next 5 minutes. Otherwise you don't get your teaspoon. So that's what that one is. And I do encourage you to do this. If you know what that is, or at least what it isn't, or what it would do if you did this, then you can answer the question, regardless of what the question is. And then finally, have Jerry ask himself if he's really hungry before eating each teaspoon of ice cream between 5 and 10 p.m. 5 p.m. and bedtime. I don't exactly know what to call that, but it's not one of the things that we're interested in. It's not NCR. It's mindfulness. How about that? See if he's really interested. Okay. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to just keep on moving, but if you guys have comments, please chat them and hopefully I'll get to them. Next one, and there's just 3. Petunia set an alarm to go off every 30 minutes before allowing herself to check and respond to her Insta for 5 minutes. This is best described as which one of these?
Need to see them.
Yeah. I'm seeing some votes for C.
Okay. Any others? Everybody's on C.
Everyone's on C so far.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let's talk about that. So it's not NCR because that would just be, regardless of whatever you do, you can do this every 30 minutes. So you get to do that. This sounds a little like it's contingent, right? She can check. That's her behavior. She can do that on a schedule. DRA, there's not some other behavior that we're encouraging her to do, an alternative behavior. So great that you skipped A and B. Now, these are the interesting ones, C and D, right? So TRL, what would we call that? Like a DRL fixed 30 minutes. So you can check after 30 minutes are up. and you can receive reinforcement. You can check and respond. Okay. That's interesting. I like that. Well, what if it were a DRO? What would that look like? I would say, okay, you can't check your Insta. That's the behavior. So don't do that. You can do anything else, but don't check your Insta for 30 minutes. And then you can check your Insta after that 30 minutes is up. So it's kind of like it's both of these. Isn't that interesting? I think the reason I might go with D more than C is because with the DRL, you know that she could actually check her Insta more frequently than that. She could do that. She's supposed to wait, just like the DRO. So I'm not really sure exactly why one is better than the other here. I think they're both really good answers because they both kind of describe what's happening. It's whether she can check during that 30 minutes and still get reinforcement. If someone else is running this for her, then I think the DRO is the right answer. If she's running it, then she probably could check it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Makes sense?
Makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me. Yeah. You got any thoughts there, Miko?
I agree with that.
Okay. So that's a fun thing for me, is just to talk about what each one of these things would look like. And it kind of, in this case, looks like maybe both of those. But I like DRO the best just because of the control over that she can engage in the behavior or has to wait 30 minutes. So don't do it for 30 minutes and then you can. All right, one more. Before going into the store, a parent told their child, look, if you don't whine about getting something while I shop, we'll go get an ice cream sandwich afterward. I don't know why there's a question mark, but anyway, this is an example of which procedure? What do you think?
Looks like we are liking B. B.
Okay, a DRA. All right. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. NCR would look like this. It would be like, I'm going to give you an ice cream sandwich every hour, right? Regardless of what you do. So that's not what we're talking about. A DRA would be like, well, instead of whining, I need you to, what's something that you could do? What's a DRA for whining? You could whisper to me. You could request things by whispering instead of whining. You'd say, Mom, can I have an ice cream sandwich? Okay, then sure. But I don't see the alternative behavior. You guys apparently did. I don't. I'm just saying if you don't whine. So again, I'm kind of tricking you because you think, oh, well, Kevin's going to mix up the answers, right? But no, Kevin likes to just do the same answers to trick you. And I think this is, again, DRO. Don't whine for this long. Doesn't really specify the time period, but it's while you shop. And then afterward, you can have the reinforcer. So it's not DRL where it's a time period where, okay, you have to wait from the last time you whined to get the reinforcer. This is, you just don't whine and you get the reinforcer after a period of time has passed. So it's D. If you can see, if you guys answered B, then that's what you're looking for, is what's the alternative to whining? And not whining isn't really an alternative behavior. No, you're not weakening that that behavior by doing that. You're not strengthening a new one, I should say. You are weakening the original one. But I think this is DRO. Okay, so look for that absence. Then it's DRO, stretching out the time period that you can do that. Like I said, DRL here would be, well, you can whine, but you have to wait 30 minutes before you whine again and get what you want. And DRA or I, you're looking for those alternative behaviors. They have to be listed in there. And then you guys know what NCR is, so we're all good. Okay, so one last thing, if you guys already know this, where we are, oops. I was gonna say, check us out. I thought this was a click.
It is.
I was just gonna
It's
take you
check us
to,
out.
where it is. Oh, sorry. Amy's helping me. But I'm just taking us to the website. If you're not familiar, this is probably the page you want to go to, BCBA exam prep, right? And the main two packages we have here, yes, but this is really what I want you to see. We've got the whole schedule. And if you have the all you need guaranteed, then all of these things are available to you. If you just want to come to these meetings, here they are every Wednesday, and it'll show you what, if you click on each one of these, it'll tell you the topic that we're going to discuss. So next week, B5, define and provide examples of schedules of reinforcement. Kind of touched on that a little bit today, but that's where I want you to see we have this. Of course, all these tests and mock exams, but the all you need guaranteed package comes with all of that. Okay. So what questions or comments do we have? Did we get through? I didn't even know what time it is.
You still have 9 minutes.
Oh my God. Yes. I love it.
And I have everyone's names entered to draw.
Oh,
Something,
okay.
can I add something?
Yes.
Cool. Something that I think is helpful with differential reinforcement procedures in particular is to remind myself that they're not really teaching procedures, right? So the individual needs to have that skill that we're strengthening already in your repertoire. And so that's one thing that's helpful to me, especially when, you know, you get a scenario and you're not just choosing between differential reinforcement procedures, but maybe there's a shaping procedure or something of that nature, and how to kind of discriminate between those.
Yeah, that's great. And that reminds me too, Miko, like if you're asked which, you know, behavior might be a good alternative for this target behavior or to weaken the target behavior, then you're like, you probably should be picking something that looks the same, functions the same. Yeah, that's the kind of thing you want to, that they have in their repertoire, clearly, right? That they know how to do. Yeah, all of those things. That's great. It's a preference for them, that kind of stuff.
And I do see somebody asking if there are any updates when the Breakdown the Beast from Saturday will be posted. And that should be this afternoon.
It's actually, I finished it. Yes, thank you for asking. That was fun to do it all by myself. Like, I'm so funny by myself. But yeah, I just did finish it, so I should post it right after this. Thanks for asking.
If there aren't any questions, I'm happy to pick a name for our free mini mock. Any questions?
Okay.
I just want to comment that I like that you explained the last question, because I confused myself with, I chose DRA because I thought what the parent says, it was the alternative behavior.
Gotcha. Right. And it's easy to get confused with that. So yeah, walk yourself through it out loud, even if you need to. Yeah, cool. Great. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I'm just going to make this comment. I think I already did, but I really want to repeat myself, I guess. The DRO, all of these things, I want you to have examples and be able to talk about them. Because when you can say, oh, this is obviously an alternative behavior, or this is obviously a DRL because, and explain it all out, then you're going to find that right answer. And of course, you can get down to the 2 best answers, but there's that one that is the best. And that's what I want you to do.